Hello, welcome to Chat. My name's Chris Morrow. It's January, so I thought I'd just take one of my colonies that needed some maintenance to do and work with it. In this case, it is Camponotus castaneus, which doesn't really have a common name. I guess orange wood ant or something along those lines. So, basically, their test tube ran out of water. It still has a cotton ball, but it's kind of it's just moist. And we have a new test tube set up here that I need to do. You see, their setup is open. It'll seem like they're docile at this time of year, just from how they behave. But really, I just think they're gentle ants. They just they don't really bite. They at least they haven't turned aggressive in any way that I've noticed. And it's a young colony. Got the queen earlier this year. It's kind of a problem that when I catch a queen and I put her in one of my tubes, roughly 5 months later they start to run out. In this case, I guess it was closer to 7. So here I'm just sort of encouraging or demonstrating a method that I know doesn't work. When you put something like a test tube over an ant, chances are they're not going to climb over it, and I was hesitant for a moment to just lift the colony up right now, but I'm not really sure where I'm going with this at this point. Another thing I wanted to mention here is I eventually rebalance the color on my camera here, and I'm not sure if it's for better or worse, but this whole is sort of red haze that's over everything that eventually goes away. But there's some color differences. See how these ants are normally like a robust, either leaning toward yellow or they're sort of an orange-red. Well, the queen's definitely orange-red. The workers, not so much. And head's usually, a little bit darker, but typically not black. At least not with most castaneus, I think. C. americanus would be a alternative to that, and if you go out west, sky's the limit with possibilities. So, what the general idea here is with getting a colony to move in here is you get the new tube connected with the other tube, once everything is situated, and you flip them vertically so that they fall inside. And ants, of course, most of them can stick to glass, plastic. They're great at climbing. So you may need to give them some encouragement, and depending on the species that you're dealing with, that can go either good or bad. These ants are really like you can just gotta shine a pencil at them and they'll turn around. Other ones they'll just swarm everywhere. God help you if you drop the tube. You drop your colony anywhere. You're just gonna have a mass panic, sort of a jailbreak situation, which you want to avoid. And nearly, I did a light tap there to demonstrate what I was going to do. I edited a whole lot of that out just because I started doing it to a point where I thought I would just break the tube underneath, and you really don't want to do that. And especially be careful that if you're using glass tubes, but plastic ones will they'll splinter just as easily. So here we have the colony just kind of hanging out here. I don't film these ants as much as I used to, so that's why the process is going as slow as it is. You can see a worker down in the midden area. So, a couple of minutes later, when I thought stuff would happen, I noticed they are having troubles climbing back up, so that's a good thing. But they're also reluctant to get to climb down, especially in the new tube, which they need to do. And cutting ahead again here. You can see I kind of just put them down here, and you can see how tame they are. I mean, with the exception of one biting my thumb in a second you'll be able to see. You can see, the queen just fell on down. She's like, hey, what's up? Walls. Just walking around here. And, yeah, there's the one biting my thumb here. And that was the extent of my injuries for this whole process. Seeing how I taste, I guess. So we have a, she's just down there cleaning herself, doing all sorts of things. We got an ant checking out the new tube. And the real important thing with this is you cannot leave the, you need to get all the ants, all the brood, all the, anything important out of the old tube, because that needs to go in the trash. If you give these ants access to their old test tube, chances are they're going to move right back in there, whether it's dry as a bone or, not. But, so we're just going to take a quick tube vision, as I call it. And the little white parts there, it's not brood, it's not mites, not anything. That's just cotton that has yet to be consumed by the black mold. And black mold, I mean, it's just it's normal. I know some people call it ant frass, but I really don't think it's that. So anyway, we have our colony here. I mean, it might be mixed in with it, but that's probably not the bulk of what's growing in that tube, because you have it growing on the water side also, so what could it be? When I initially started jumping them in here, the first thing that kind of gave way was the clump of larvae, which Camponotus do keep brood over the winter. It does not develop during the cooler months, and even in my house here, it's below 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the particular room that they're in. Actually, I should say it dips below there. I'm often finding myself with needing a blanket on me here. So the queen here, she's kind of an okay color. I like how the workers are colored, sort of. Actually, I should say that's backwards. I like how the queen is colored with this version of it, because she's kind of this robust red color. The workers are they're actually nicer looking than what they are. They're not as red as they should be. And this queen here is not as dark, so I need to work something out with lighting. And generally I'm talking about this because there's nothing else to do, because the ants, they actually did not move into the tube as I had hoped to do, and they're still in the process of doing that, despite all my encouragement. So we're just kind of watching them wave their antenna around. And I kind of fed them. And it just... Usually ants, when you change where they're going, like, their nesting area, they start to panic. And they run everywhere, and they do not feed. So the fact that they're actually taking the time to, just take some sugar water, why not? I thought this would just be a little nibbling at most, and it turned out that, this worker here decided to feed her social stomach right up, and, now she's, walking around. Actually, the whole colony is just walking around, big as can be. Except for the queen, though. They seem to, refuse to feed her or something, though she did get, a couple of nibbles here and there. But it was, I've seen them, fill up a castaneus queen before, and she really, engorges herself. But they did not do that. Probably, good to do over the winter time, but something I've found with young colonies is sometimes the workers will not feed their queen at all, and she ends up starving to death while the workers are left with a queenless colony, and that's, some ant keepers like to do things the natural way, but, sometimes there's a difference between wanting to do things that... actually, I don't know how to word this, but there's a difference between doing it the natural way and watching your colony starve to death. They're your pets, so take care of them. Be as proactive as possible, and you're almost getting a good comparison of what being full here looks like compared to not full, with that one worker to the right, two workers to the right now. You can see the gaster, or abdomen, I guess, to the ant here. Gaster is more accurate. It's actually a series of plates, and underneath there's a membrane, which will actually, it's basically a skin with plates on it, and it actually expands, revealing, usually it'll be a cloudy or clear or some other, it'll be the color of whatever they happen to be eating. I've been toying with the idea of adding dye to the sugar water sometime, and you could just, paying attention to where it spreads across here. And you can see I've actually adjusted the white balance on my camera. So the workers look more accurate, but I believe the queen, she turned even darker than what she was before, so I need to work on that, just add more lighting, something along here. And these ants, it's kind of weird. They they remind me of cockroaches. But they're not disgusting, if that makes sense. They have the antennae that are they're almost as long as the body almost, and just kind of waving them around, yeah, what's over here? It's almost like a series of controlled walking sticks. And you can make out the little palp, maxillar, or whatever those little things are that are underneath the head. They have two sets of those, the maxa and the minor? I forgot what the term is. And they started what I'm calling the kissing game here, because despite all the workers starting to get food into them, they started engaging in trophallaxics, which is when they one will exchange food from its social stomach to the other, or some people like to term that as vomiting or whatever. It's regurgitation. Birds do it, ants do it. Probably other things too. Snakes, but that's not really the same That's not really meant to exchange food. So what do we have going on here? Really, this is like it for the video here. Just it's nothing but ants walking around from here on out. So, you know, feel free to skip ahead as you like. But I kind of noticed there's just they started engaging in just, you know, regular exchanging food, despite some of them having food or some of them not having food. They did explore the colony, or sorry, their foraging area a little bit more. And I was hoping they'd, like, want to move into their new test tube. Because, you know, it's in place of the old test tube, but it still has that new test tube smell. So it's, right now all it is to them is just, hey, let's take a look in here. Nope, don't like it, and they walk out. And again, it goes to show how secure they feel inside their own foraging area. You know, they consider it as part of the nest, or, you know, out in the wild I'd say it's, they'd consider their, you know, their original, test tube setup as sort of like a tunnel that they'd live in that led to the under part of a log or someplace where they would, you know, where you'd normally find other insects perhaps underneath, and then outside of that environment you'd have, you know, your yard, you know, your basic, you know, you'd have the part of the stepping stone that you walk on, you know, the outworld, as it were. So yeah. Either that or it's just like regular winter behavior. They don't really, you know, feel like doing anything. There's no territory to maintain or anything of that sort. So. Lots of people really like Castaneus queens, but, you know, like I said, this camera, it's not really doing her justice, because she should be much brighter than what you're seeing here, so, yeah. Lighting issues and stuff. I really love the smooth head. Everything about these ants is so, like, they're smooth, like, especially on the queen, and I think her measurement is actually 17 millimeters, which is it's just shy of like an inch for the American audience. And just looking at her now, I can see that she does have stored food inside of her, but probably not enough to get through another 2 months of not eating, so that's what coaxed me into just trying to feeding them later on. And while they were going in and out of the test tube, they eventually found the larvae, so that was good. Don't want to keep those too wet. And you'll notice I have, you know, just a bunch of crickets, and that's just my failing right there. I don't actually clean my setups as much as I should, but I believe it is okay to be a little messy in that department, provided that it's not accumulating, like it's not on a damp surface. It's not like rotting away, growing mold, growing spores, harboring you know, disease and bacteria that would eventually kill your ants. I read a well, actually, I heard a comment of a study that when ants usually put a midden area someplace, they'll put it on like a hot, dry spot. So that way, you know, it'll be like a, you know, near the nest, but still a hot, dry area. You know, so it dries out immediately, and it's growing as little ant harming bacteria and such products, or, you know, pathogens and what have you, as it can. So, you know, as opposed to a colony that would put it on a damp place, it would actually just be, you know, growing disease. You know, so. Yeah, that was something I took from that. And you can see there's more trophallaxis going around here. Yet again. I feel like there should be like some sort of music on here, like, you know, Last One Standing or something, or Achy Breaky Heart, something like that. Because, like, I distinctly noticed that none of the workers were actually, you know, doing this with the queen. Not that she had anything to eat, and I even encouraged her to, you know, like I said, you can just, you know, take the tip of a pencil or something and kind of just herd them around. And, you know, I tried to get her to, you know, she inspected it, but she didn't really consume anything. And it's important for ants to actually exchange food, because they have beneficial bacteria that live inside of their stomach area, and it just it aids with digesting food. And if certain groups of those actually die inside the stomach of every ant inside the colony, that limits their ability to digest an entire source of food, potentially. You know, if they're having issues with carbohydrates, then, you know, they might not, or or if they can't digest protein properly, or whatever, get the vitamins or essential nutrients or salt or whatever have you, they can't really survive as accurately. It's something I've always wanted to pay attention more to. Like, there's a video going around the internet now of painting ants, which I might link to on YouTube, and I'm sort of tempted to do it with this, or some sort of thing with this. Maybe if I print out incredibly small numbers on paper and just glue it to the backs of them, or a few select workers. And I've actually caught 3 or 4 workers doing this all together, trying to summon Captain Planet or something. So here we have one that I noticed. I knew it was going to happen right here, because I see this worker. She has a very submissive stance kind of happening here, and I'm not entirely certain that it happened, because we have the mandibles open on the worker. Mandibles are open on the queen, but you can't really tell at this angle. But I'm not sure that anything is being exchanged. Like, if anything, like, maybe the queen is actually giving this worker some sort of digestive enzyme or whatever, and you can see the lovebirds in the back, they're doing it again. Or maybe it's the other way around, where they're just giving her a sip to see how it is. And it actually took an hour or so for them to start feeding the queen, so there's some, had they eaten a pesticide, we would only have killed, well, all the workers in the colony, but, others might have just gotten sick and survived, but, a larger colony, this might be a standard practice, just to not feed the queen immediately. Though I guess younger colonies with so few workers might need to take more risks in that department. And here's another one feeding her. And I look even today, and she's, that queen is just not as big as she should. And something about Camponotus queens, if you're keeping the genus at this time, if they're cold enough, Camponotus queens will be like stiff and very dead-like. That is okay. That is actually how they officially hibernate. Come springtime, she's going to still look that way. What you need to do, though, is just place her on a damp surface so that she just, gets water or something inside of her body, just absorbs it somehow. And she should be right as rain in, 5 days, I'd say, would be the maximum it would take for her to come back. So, this has been Ant Chat. My name's Chris Merrow, and good luck with your colonies. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.